let's move on our next session. So I like Dhaval, can you give some good tips for this cybersecurity month? Meanwhile, David, can you check your mic? So is audible or not?
Yes, sure. So, as we are almost in the middle of the cybersecurity awareness month in this October, there are a couple of quick tips I can provide to our audience, although they might be familiar. Number one would be that the holiday season is approaching, and even now, also because of the pandemic, we have been mostly relying on our online shopping, our deliveries that come daily, and with all those packages and all those packages have labels. So the first and foremost tip for our audience would be to please scrap out and discard those shipping labels. Same thing you should do when you're done with your travel. So the barcodes that you have on your luggage tags, on your boarding passes. So those are the barcodes and QR codes. Wherever you see that, after the usage is done, you should better discard it or scratch it out at least, because that is now an important tool for the hackers, for the cyber thieves to go after, to get your personalized information, and you should not leave any trace behind. So this is an important way to at least keep cyber hygiene at a personal level. Now, second tip I would like to give our audience is that nowadays, as soon as any new model of iPhone or your other smartphone launches, you do get different offers to upgrade your phone. Many times, most of the times, like hackers are trying to just trying to do your phishing attack on you by luring you
वो अभी
to
आई
see
मैंने
to
अभी
check
देखा
out the
उसको मैं
deals,
आपको फोन ही करने
to upgrade the contract. Like they can say that, hey, you are eligible to upgrade, free upgrade, and tons of different ways they will try to attract your attention. So please be aware. I know we all know that phishing attack is a very serious attack, but sometimes when it comes to the text messages, some when the times come to your email provider or phone provider, you immediately try to do something. If you see email from somebody else, you can be suspicious. You can try to think twice, but people think less when they see something coming from that trusted organization they deal with every day. So better be secure when you are dealing with your online shopping packages, when you're dealing with any offers to upgrade your phone. Now the third tip I would like to give is to the actually business users. Business users are typically getting nowadays an online threat from hackers who are trying to look into your interject themselves into the email chain. They do this by actually compromising one of the employees' email, listening to the conversation, and then they will create an email address like almost looking similar to your company's email domain. By listening to your conversations, they would have gained enough knowledge on what to talk when they want to do something suspicious, right? So this is called business email compromise, where many companies have got defrauded by asking for the invoice payment to a new bank account, or doing something totally out of the way that normally it doesn't happen. But because this request comes from your prime customer or prime vendor, you may think of, okay, don't worry, because I work with him, so no more questions asked. People just immediately click and do it. So when you share some data, when you share some when you route any payment or do something vital that affects your road, your company's business, you should always have a second layer of verification with your vendor, with your customer, either by phone, by chat, or something else. But always have a second layer of verification with them. So the multi-factor verification, multi-layer verification not only applies to online applications or mobile apps, but it also applies to the day-to-day business life you are having. Because this is the way hackers try to navigate themselves into your workflow chain and try to launch attack on you. So
So,
let's
David, do
check
you
with Nihal
have
if
any
our
kind?
speaker is ready.
David, do you want to share your thoughts here?
You, I'm sorry. I was trying to get my
Okay, okay.
mic.
Everything is good.
Yeah, we can hear you, David.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just figured it out. I'm sorry about that.
That's
No
fine.
problem, no problem. So basically, Dhaval is talking about do you have any tips for this cybersecurity month? And we can continue our next session with you. So I like Eva, invited Eva to give a brief introduction about David, who is our today's guest speaker. Please, Eva, give him a good introduction about him. Eva, I think Eva is
Well, you
having.
can
Eva,
talk.
your mic is not working.
Okay.
Sure. So maybe Sasi ma'am, if you can
Yes,
introduce.
yes.
Yes.
Welcome, David.
Welcome.
I would like to introduce you. So,
Thank you.
David is he's very passionate about cybersecurity and protecting people and keeping them safe. He strives to perform to the best of his ability each and every day. His cybersecurity journey has been wonderful, and he has thoroughly enjoyed learning new concepts on different security topics. Currently, studying and working on defensive security module in TryHackMe website, he planned to sharpen his skills by continuing to perform labs and doing personal research. He considers himself to be a lifelong learner and enjoy learning new skills each day. He is a reliable and enthusiastic recent college graduate with a Master's of Science degree in Information System Management at Union College. He recently obtained a CompTIA Security Plus certification to assist with learning new skills to obtain an entry-level cybersecurity role. His desire is to educate people around him with knowledge gained in his professional information technology career. He believes in his willingness to learn new systems and strong desire to mentor talented individuals will help him succeed in future endeavors. His specialties are educating users how to use appropriate computer software systems, support new applications and systems, identify hardware and network connectivity issues, and maintaining confidentiality of information. I welcome you, David.
Yes, we welcome, and I want to say that I'm honored to be on the show today and to talk with everyone. Um, I'd like to start out by like just talking about like keeping your business safe, like as far as installing antivirus software, things like that, and this goes for business or personal, either one. And the antivirus software, it can be used to protect your network from viruses, worms, of course, Trojan horses. It can also remove any malicious software code that's already infected your computer. And virus protection can also show the health of your computer, the health of your computer as well. And it's also important to set up firewall protection, and this could be personal or business, either one. You'd want to make sure that the rules are set for certain websites to whitelist websites, blacklist any websites, and also you'd want to block any, of course, the malicious traffic on the network. Um, Other important topics I'd like to talk to you about today is intellectual property. And intellectual property can include that can include copyrighted material, trademarks, patents, trade secrets that companies may have. And it's especially important to harden the security, especially if you have any trade secrets out there that you don't want getting out. That would come back to the CIA triage, the confidentiality and integrity and availability. Of course, the confidentiality of that would be wanting to keep your intellectual property safe, and especially just an example, especially like I'm just using this for an example, like COVID-19, that's going on right now. Hackers had tried to steal COVID, the vaccine secrets. That's just an example of intellectual property. I would also like to talk about how that you would keep your network safe and keep your personal data safe. That just data encryption. There's two different kinds of data encryption: asymmetric and symmetric. And encryption, it's called AES. That would be the best protection, and I would recommend using it at any firm. Is to always use the AES because it's more you're better protected that way. And a really big thing on cyber awareness month that I really want to focus on is the password protection, because it's very important that that us businesses and for even for personal use too, to on the passwords. I would recommend that you would use at least 14 characters, at least one lowercase letter, one uppercase letter, and one number and one special character, just to make it safe. To take that even a step farther, I would recommend using the two-factor authentication, because that just adds a second layer of security to your account password. So, for example, you could use the 14 character password I just mentioned. Then you could use something like Duo, Cisco Duo, the two form authentication that way. And something else that's really important, it's important to me, and of course, it's important that I want to just let everyone know out there that how important that it is to keep your to be safe as far as your emails, because there are just so many phishing attacks going on right now. I just want to talk about the different types of phishing attacks and how to protect your personal or your organization. The first attack I would like to talk to you about is spear phishing. And spear phishing is when an attacker goes after a certain group of people in the company. For instance, like if the attacker went for the system administrator or targeted the system admin, that would be an example of that. There's also another another type of phishing is called whaling. And whaling, it's similar to phishing, except attackers, they attack bigger individuals, such as CEOs or CFOs of the organization. There's two more uh, phishing attacks I'd like to talk to you about. One of them is called vishing. This is when an attacker tries to get personal or sensitive information when they call you on the phone. A classic example of this would be whenever someone calls and pretends to be someone calling from Microsoft, and then they tell you that a virus has appeared on your computer. That's just another social engineering technique that's called vishing. So I'd just like to make everyone aware of that. And lastly, there's just basic, just email phishing. This could be when an attacker attempts to send a hidden HTML file to send to the user to a fake website, and then they would try to gain your user credentials or information on that.
Let's wait few seconds. I think David has a internet connectivity issue. Let's wait.
Of protection and extra backup. Other things to consider would always to perform your backups and recoveries. You would want to perform them at least every few days. That way, if something gets corrupted or possibly hacked, then you would be able to pinpoint the error and make any connections. Another good practice would be to keep a copy of your data off-site, especially if something was to happen, like a natural disaster, something like that, or a flood. That way you'd have an extra copy of your copy of all of your data. And also, another threat I'd like to talk about is just the basic, the internet of all things. Um, for example, if you would need to just on the internet, you would need to tighten up any security loopholes in the network. Anything that needs to be patched, it could be dangerous. And you would need to patch the network. Administrators of the company would need to patch the firewalls, hubs, switches, routers, gateways, uh, things like that, because that's all vulnerable threats if it's not patched. That way, the proper security measures is allowed to prevent, any intruders that would have easy access to destruct any of your company's network or information on that. Something else I would like to also talk about would be VPN security. Um, you know, in today's world, especially today, keeping your personal data safe from cyber criminals is more important than ever, especially as easy as it is to for people to hack into your systems nowadays. In order to keep it safe, you would need to install proper firewall security controls on the VPN. That way, and you would also want to make sure that your antivirus is running smoothly. Um, and as far as that's on a personal VPN, what I just mentioned. But as far as a company's VPN, the security analyst of the company would also need to make sure that the latest Windows security patches, everything like that, is currently available and up and running. That way, it keeps anything malicious out. Um, that is the advantage of using a VPN, which there is a disadvantage, but the advantages outweigh like the disadvantage by far. The only disadvantage that I see on a VPN is the internet speed, but personally, I wouldn't want to give up speed or give up my security for speed, because I mean there's too many hackers out there, looking for ways to steal your data, and that's the only thing that I would the disadvantage on the VPN today. Um, a couple of other things I would like to talk to you about is phone security. There's four types of mobile security threats, and mobile is something that we often we don't think about. We install patches, antivirus on our computers, every day, but we don't think about installing antivirus protection on our phones. So I would like to just point out, how important that is. But going back to the four types of mobile security threats, the first one I would like to talk about is the mobile application. It's called mobile application security threat. For instance, this would include spyware, malware, anything that would steal personal or business information, and that without people realizing it. The second thing I would like to talk about is called web-based mobile, or just your web-based mobile apps. For instance, if whenever someone visited a affected website, it could be dangerous, and oftentimes, it could go even unnoticed by the person using the phone. So you just need to be careful on what apps that you download as well on phones. Another thing would be mobile network security threat, and an example of the network threat would be let's say a cyber criminal or something, attacking your phone on a public Wi-Fi network. So if you was at a coffee shop or something, a hacker could be sitting there with another device trying to spoof, try to get your information over public Wi-Fi. So personally, I don't use any public Wi-Fi like that, because it's just it's just too unsafe, especially like if you're at a motel, hotel, some place like that. And the last thing on mobile security threats, it's the fourth thing would be called the mobile device security threat, and this is whenever a hacker has access directly to your private data, and that could be extremely dangerous. So it's important to keep everything up to date on the phones. And something else I'd like to mention as far as the mobile apps. There's a data leakage via malicious apps. There's like 85% of mobile apps today are largely unsecure, and that's Tom Tovar, CEO of AppDome. He says today that hackers can easily find a unprotected mobile app and then use that unprotected app to design larger attacks to steal data, digital wallets, back end details, and other juicy bits from the app. So it's very very unsafe. That's what I mentioned earlier about just being careful. just using good judgment about what apps to download, and not to download on that. Um, and going back to, I'd like to speak a little bit about spyware as well. Spyware, it's used to collect data and on mobile phones whenever a user clicks a malicious advertisement, or let's say if you click on a link someone sends you through a text message, and that could be a scam. So, and it's so easy now that we see a link text, and we click on it. It's so easy to click on. It's going back to, like, we're used to clicking on, using our personal desktop laptop, and we're used to clicking on everything. So I just want to make sure people safe, and they know, if they see a text message, anything unusual, just to please, just don't click on it, because it's just very, very dangerous. And and another thing, going back to like what we had mentioned earlier about passwords, being sure that they was secure, using 14 characters, which that's important as well. But it's also important for users not to reuse their same passwords, because a lot of people, they use their work accounts at work password, and then they use their personal passwords at home, and they use the same password, and that could be extremely dangerous, to use the same password as you do at work, and then you come home, and you use the same password. It just makes it that much easier for hackers, to gain your credentials, and possibly steal your information at home or at work. Um, for example, there was a study done by Google in 2019, that they found that 59% of people they surveyed, they used their name or birthday as a password, and then another one, admitted to using the same password as they do, at work, as they do at at their personal, so that the bad password habits, it can, like I mentioned, it presents a very big threat to organizations. And and that's another thing I'd like to mention. Just a couple more things before we wrap it up. I got a few more things. As far as your organization or personal, let's say if you have a operating system, like you still have a Windows 7, for instance, they quit giving security updates for Windows 7. So that's very unsafe for people. I just want to make, since it's cyber awareness, just to keep cyber criminals from attacking, just if at all possible, just use something that's newer, like than at least Windows 10, because Windows or 8, Windows 8 or 8.1, because Windows 7, I mean, it's just so they quit giving updates on that. And another thing, like I'd mentioned, the multi-factor authentication earlier, sometimes referred to two-factor authentication. I'll explain a little bit more how that works. It's a security enhancement that allows you to present two pieces of information or evidence. That would be your credentials whenever logging into the account. Your credentials could fall into any three categories: something you know, like a PIN or a password, or something you have, like a smart card, or something that you use, or a fingerprint. Your credentials, they must come from two different sources. And for instance, I'll give you a good example. Like if you was checking your bank balance at the ATM, you would use a card, which that is something that you have. And then whenever you put your pass code or PIN at the ATM, that would be something you know. So that would be going back to two-form factor authentication. So I think it's very important for us to use that, and it gives us that extra additional layer of security, and that makes it harder for the bad guys to log in, as if they were you. And I know that stopping all online crime is, that's not a realistic goal, but the simple steps that you can do, uh, that I'd mentioned today, just the simple steps you can do, that way you're not as likely, the likelihood of being a victim. And of course, that protects your sensitive data, and all your, especially you would want to use the MFA, especially whenever you use your primary email or health, let's say, for example, health records. uh, you would definitely want to use multi-factor. And and then, like, if you had any financial accounts, then you would definitely need that. But I would like to thank you all for having me today, and that should wrap my presentation up. And if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to message me, or talk to me. I'm always here to talk and try to help people. Like I said, I'm very passionate about what I do, and I want to see everyone succeed, in whatever career choice that they they
Yes, David.
choose to do
Yeah.
in cyber. And
Yeah, you really
we
did a great,
appreciate you
yeah,
appreciate you all.
presentation by highlighting different aspects of personal digital life and the work life. So it was really nice of you to patiently list down area after area, and I like that your dedication that you prepared all these things. So particularly, we can
Oh, you're
help
welcome.
you in your journey and also highlight you in different innovations and different work we do at Rainbow Secure. Like I liked your point about the authentication because that's our prime innovation, and how we help the client. Right? Everybody got today frustrated with 14 and 18 character passwords, and there are a lot of challenges. So with Rainbow Secure, we are now giving users a way to use, for example, even for yourself. So David, use your credential password, and still nobody can hack in 2 centuries. We made it possible by giving you ability to color and style your password. So now, David, with red font or red background or anything you like in the for terms of formatting, can be your credentials, and that's give you a multi-tier defense, and it is defeating all the existing passwords related scripts, credential stuffing attack, all those breaches that have happened will not
Password
impact the
weakness.
organization
As
anymore. Yeah,
David with red color or D as underline. That's your
that's it.
password, and that will be equivalent to 80 character password
Yeah.
string.
So
And it
Oh,
also
yes, yes, I
defeat,
agree.
yeah, It also defeat the cyber fraud, automated cyber
Mm.
fraud, or automated cyber attack that we are facing the biggest problem.
Yeah. So, looking at your passion, I think you can be the greatest ambassador of the cyber awareness, and we will prepare you for that. So, don't worry, you just started your cyber journey, but everybody is here on this platform to help you succeed.
And thank you for
I
presenting today.
appreciate you guys,
Yeah.
and we thank you, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
See
now,
you guys.
yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.